Are you ready to help your students become unstoppable language learners? Well, buckle up because in this video, we're diving deep into the cognitive aspects of advanced language acquisition and revealing the 5 key elements that will transform the way you teach. And the best part, these strategies are all backed by the latest research, so you know you're getting the real deal, the stuff that actually works. So if you're ready to unlock the secrets of advanced language learning and give your students the tools they need to succeed, then you've come to the right place. My name is Scott, and you're watching Immediate Immersion, where we're all about comprehension-based instruction in the modern language classroom. We'll be right back. When it comes to language acquisition, neuroplasticity is your best friend. The brain is like a muscle, and the more you work it, the stronger it gets. When it comes to advanced language acquisition, you gotta keep those neural pathways firing on all cylinders. And the key is to keep challenging your students with new and complex language structures. I get a lot of teachers who say that their students can't ever get past that simple sentence stage, that choppy sentence, there is a cat, the cat is fat. Well, I ask them, how often do you use sentences that aren't short and choppy? And their answer usually is, almost never. Well, if you don't give your kids room to grow, they never will. So instead of just giving them short, choppy sentences, you need to scaffold the complexity of the language with them. So, yes, start with short, choppy sentences so that you're getting the lower end of your classroom, the kids who are struggling with language, but then combine those short, choppy sentences into sentences that are compound sentences with ands, buts, or ors. This gives a little bit longer of a sentence with no new information, but it gives those kids a place to grow. And the kids that are already at that compound sentence stage, you want to give them complex sentences, those sentences with subordinate clauses. So you've got like because, therefore, and sinces. So you're giving those kids room to grow. And for those kids that are already at that level who can write those complex sentences with subordinate clauses, you want to add more details. Give them more details and link more sentences, maybe a compound complex sentence together. So you're always scaffolding language. You're not giving any new information with these bigger sentences. You're just recombining the stuff they already know. So you're giving them all different ways to be challenging with the language. That's what Krashen calls input plus one. Next in your arsenal for language acquisition, metacognition. Metacognition is the name of the game. Getting your students to think about their own thinking is crucial for advanced language acquisition. Encourage them to reflect on their learning process, identify their strengths and weaknesses, and develop strategies to overcome any obstacles. I do this every Friday. I give my students a reflection question to help them think about their processes, about their language acquisition, about their strengths, their weaknesses, setting goals, and how are they achieving those goals, what can they do to achieve those goals, all those sort of things. Now, I don't do this in the target language because I really want them to be able to really process the thinking there and to be able to explain their thoughts. And they're not able to do that in the second language. So I have them do this in their home language. For most of your students, that will be in English. But encourage them to think about this. Think about all these different things that go into language acquisition for them. What are their struggles? What do they feel that they really need help on? What do they think that they are really strong at? You can get a lot of insights that you might be able to help them individually with some of these issues. You can also help them set goals, have them figure out a goal for the next couple of weeks, and then they can document their process towards the goal. And at the end of the time, they can go ahead and reflect on whether or not they accomplished that goal and why or why not. All of these things help them get to be thinking about their learning, about their acquisition of language. And let's face it, the intermediate stage of language is the messy one. Kids can see when they move from beginner, novice beginner to novice mid to novice high. They can see those. They might even be able to see when they go from novice high to intermediate low. But that intermediate low to intermediate mid to intermediate high, that's all messy. It's long. It's the longest process, and they don't get to see those changes so evidently like they did the earlier ones. So they get frustrated. But having them think about their learning process can really help with that. Last up in our language acquisition trifecta is immersion. Immersion is king. If you want your students to truly master language, you gotta create an environment that simulates real life language use. Bring in authentic materials, encourage student interaction, and make the language come alive in the classroom. You need to have that comprehensible input at 90% or higher every single day. If they don't hear language, they're not going to be able to produce language. If they don't read language, they're not going to be able to produce language. So immerse your kids in the language as much as possible while still keeping it comprehensible. Remember the scaffolding game. Go with short, choppy sentences, then your medium compound sentences, and then your high level complex or compound complex sentences. Ask your level of strategic questioning. You've got your either or, yes or no questions. You've got your who, what, when, where, your concrete questions. And then you can bring them up to the how and the why that require more language. But in all of this, you're using the target language as much as possible in the classroom every single day. And when you do that, your kids will see the climb, they'll build the confidence, and their abilities will soar. Now that we have our 3 tools for our language acquisition toolbox, what do we do with those? Well, that's where creativity comes in. Creativity is the secret sauce. Advanced language learners need to be able to use the language in new and creative ways. That's the true demonstration of proficiency. Encourage your students to experiment with the language, take risks, and push the boundaries of what they thought was possible. Remember, we're not looking for perfection here. We're looking for communication. Are they communicating their ideas? And if so, how can we step that up? Let them push those boundaries without fear of losing their grade because of mistakes that they make. They need to be able to take risks at this stage of the game to be able to push through those boundaries and really maximize through that ceiling that they're currently in. That's where they're going to see that growth. So encourage creativity, encourage taking risks, make them think outside of the box, give them different assignments that really stretch this creativity so they can really maximize their potential. Now that you got your 3 tools and you've added creativity to the mix, what's the driving force? What's going to get them to continue their language acquisition? Motivation. That's it. Learning a language at an advanced level takes time, effort, and dedication. And as a teacher, it's our job to keep our students motivated and engaged. Celebrate their successes, provide constructive feedback, and help them see the value in what they're learning. I often will give them the ACTful proficiency checklists so they can see, can I do this? Can I do that? Where are they on the ACTful proficiency scale? I'm always propping them up. I'm celebrating their successes. I'm not really worrying about the small things. I want to celebrate their successes, keep it positive, and only give constructive feedback when absolutely necessary. I want to build their confidence. I want them to feel good about their language skills so they'll want to continue learning. And that's where kids in the intermediate area really prosper. When they get that self-motivation to keep on learning, they can acquire language from their own intentions. They want to absorb more language, so they'll go out on their own and expose themselves to language, whether it be TV shows or movies or YouTube or reading books, and then they'll be able to expand their language acquisition because of this additional input that they're getting outside of class. But if your kids are not motivated, then they're not going to be able to do this. And with your lower levels, the only motivation most of your lower levels are is to get it done so they have it for their college to be able to get into college. But when kids start taking levels 3 and 4, they're not just trying for college anymore. It's because they really are interested in language and they self-motivation is there. And so all we need to do is tap into that to get the kids to expand on their language proficiency and their language acquisition. Are you tired of feeling stuck in a rut with your teaching? Do you want to take your students' language skills to the next level? Well, I've got something special for you. Introducing the Beyond Basics mini course, 10 webinars that will blow your mind and transform the way you teach with comprehensible input. This isn't just another rehash of the same old techniques you've heard a million times before. This is the real deal, the cutting-edge strategies that will help you break through to your students like never before. And here's the best part. It's only $97. That's right. For less than a cost of a fancy dinner out, you can get access to 10 game-changing webinars that will revolutionize your teaching. So if you're ready to take your teaching to the next level, if you're ready to see your students soar, then you need to register for the Beyond the Basics mini course right now. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Just go to mm.us/beyond and sign up today. Trust me, this is the best investment you'll make in your teaching career. Your students will thank you and you'll wonder how you ever taught without these techniques before. So what are you waiting for? Go beyond the basics and register now at mm.us/beyond. Let's do this. Okay, now let's talk about 3 concrete strategies you can implement in your classroom today. Implement a language portfolio. Have your students create a portfolio where they can showcase their language skills and reflect on their learning process. This will help them stay motivated and track their progress over time. Number 2, use authentic materials. Bring in real-life language materials like news articles, podcasts, and videos. This will expose your students to advanced language structures and help them develop their comprehension skills. And 3, create a language immersion day. Dedicate 1 day a week to full language immersion in your classroom. Encourage your students to communicate only in the target language and create activities that simulate real-life language use. Those are 3 strategies that you can implement today to maximize your students' language acquisition. And there you have it, folks. By implementing these strategies and keeping these cognitive aspects in mind, you'll be well on your way to helping your students crush their advanced language acquisition goals. In the comments below, let me know which of these strategies you're most excited to try out with your students. Is it the language portfolio, the immersion day, or maybe you've got a creative twist on one of these techniques that you can't wait to share with the community? And before you go, make sure to check out one of the 2 videos that YouTube has handpicked just for you. These videos are packed with even more tips and strategies for taking your language teaching to the next level, so you won't want to miss them. So hit that like button, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more language teaching goodness. And as always, happy comprehensible input.